Okay, this is a quiz for chapter 4. And so first I want to demonstrate the saddle bracket that was drawn for that one. So I'm going to go new. I'm going to use English, standard IPT. You can double left on that or you can single left click on it and then click create. So I'm trying to look for a busy area and I'll pull over here for this chapter. It kind of shows the thinking process. This is what it looks like. You could start with the bottom if you wanted to, but you can see this part is thicker than that part. So you'd have to thicken that up, and then you'd have to add the 4 legs, and then the part back here is even thicker than that. So again, I look for the busiest profile, and then I see a profile in this view that is like a upside down table or a U shape. And I drew it up until it starts curving. So I just drew this shape, kind of like an F on its back, because it looked like a busy area for me. So I'm going to start sketch, and I'm going to use this plane. And so I'm going to start with the first line. Again, I want to anchor it to the 0, 0. So I'm going to start there. And then this first line is 3.25. So I'm going to put a dimension in there. Even if I don't dimension the others right now, then at least I've got to start. And so I'm going to go there, go a little bit this way. Then I'll go up with my legs, a little bit of a distance. And I noticed that the surface in here where the legs are is a little bit higher than the other one. So then I'm going here, and notice I can pick up some tracking lines when I get close to where those lines are, top of that. So pop that in place, again over here, and then back to 0. Right click and click OK to finish. So now I've got some of these edges that I need to dimension. And you can see that these two show up in blue or purple, and then the others show up in green. And notice at the bottom it says 6 dimensions needed. Once it's fully constrained, it will say so down here. So I'm going to put in some other dimensions. I've got here, and that one is 1.75. And then from here to here is 0.75. This one is 0.5. And then I've got a distance here. I think that's going to tell me good. So those are the same. I just wanted to be sure. And then I've got a dimension here, and that needs to be 0.5. And then over here, I want this one to be the same. So instead of putting a dimension there, I'm just going to point to that one and click OK with the check mark, and notice that it's a function of the other dimension. If this dimension is changed, then that one will change. So I'm going to click undo, take it back to the 0.5, and then I've still got a couple of lines that are showing up. Let's see what. Whoop, I'm out at the dimension command. So I'm going to get in here. Let's see, do I know? Nope, I don't know how thick that one is, but I do know how it is from here to here. Again, out of the dimension command, get back in it and dimension this, and that's supposed to be 2. And now all of my lines show up in that bluish purple, and at the bottom it says fully constrained. So I'm going to finish sketch, and then get this back in the window where I can see it properly. And then I'm going to do an extrude, and I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to do a symmetrical. Sometimes you never know when you might want to know where the very center of that object is, so that's a good idea sometimes to know where 0, 0, 0 is. So I knew where 0, 0 was, but I didn't know where the very center of the object is, so now I do. So that's 2.5. And then I'm ready to put that half round section on the other part. So I'm going to start a sketch. And I'm going to go to the bottom of the part and click there. And then I'm going to use a circle. And for the circle, I'm going to click to the center point. So I've got that green dot. And then I'm going to also snap to the edge of that. And then right click, finish sketch. And then I'm going to go back to the house to get to this view. I'm going to extrude. I'm going to choose that. And then it did choose join, but I want it to go in the opposite direction that it's doing, and then it switched back to cut. So I'm going to go back to join. And for here, I'm going to use to next. And then I'm going to pick this surface. Well, that's got to be in blue. Pick that surface. Click OK. All right, it didn't like that. Extrude. Okay, back to the extrusion. I want it to go in the opposite direction. I also want it to be joined. And for the distance, I want it to go 2. And if this is not highlighted in blue, it needs to be. And it says select the surface to end it. So I'm going to select that and then click OK. So then I've got my half round section. And from there, I've got a hole. And I'm going to use the placed feature hole that's on the 3D model. And I'm going to pick that surface. I want it to be symmetrical with this edge. So I could use a constraint if I was in a sketch mode, but I'm not. But notice when I get to the edge of that, you see the 2 circles. And so that is designating that that's concentric. So since I made it concentric, I don't have to dimension it. So the size of that hole is 1 inch. And so, whoops, keeps wanting to put another digit in there. So that's 1, and that's a simple hole, that's none, and it's going through all. So click OK. So that's drawn. So now I got a fillet to put in here, and I can do, fillet is one of those commands like hole, it's a placed feature, and my favorite way to use fillet is to use it in the feature command because you can see, you only have to point to your edge. So I want that to be, oh, okay, it's way over here. My dimension for my fillet, this particular fillet is 0.25. So it shows up right there. Now the lines are just because the lines may not show on your screen. It's probably a setting that I have in my visual settings. But like I said, you can do fillet under feature, and you can also do it in the sketch mode. So you can see it's clouded right now because I'm not in the middle of a sketch. But over here where it says, oh, here it is, fillet. You got fillet and chamfer, and both of those can be done in the model environment or in the sketch environment. So that's that particular object. And then the only other things that I wanted to cover for this section are I wanted to talk about this area, and there's been a couple of you who have X that out by mistake, and it's pretty easy to bring back. But that is called the model browser area. Sometimes it's called a history tree because it does list everything that you've done. And sometimes these are open and sometimes they're closed. See the extrusion number 2. I can open up extrusion number 1. I can open up origin. So any of these, I can go back and open them up or change them or edit them. Navigation. Talked about this navigation toolbar over here. You've got the navigation wheel. I don't really like it. It's just a way of orbiting. You got the hand. We used that before to pan around. You've got zoom. We talk about orbit. We've done that before. Look at enables you to pick a particular face that you want to look directly about. So let's click on that, and then let's click on that face. So you can see that the screen changes to whatever it is that you want to see. I'll go back to the house, and I want to show you eye properties. And let's see, that is, if I go to the very top of the history tree and go to eye properties, and then my little dialog box went over on the other computer. But I can see, whoops. Under physical, if I go to generic, then I can pick a particular type of metal. I'm just going to pick gold. And by assigning gold to the particular square footage that I have for this object, then I can get information, the center of gravity, the mass, the area, the volume. So I can get information about that. Sometimes that can be helpful if, for example, if you need to see what that particular object would weigh as gold as compared to what it will weigh as some other material. Click on apply, and then I get a. Okay, so it looks like there was just a couple of questions that, or at least one question that I left out, and I'm going to double check the others and see if I left any others out. I think that was it. So let's go back to this first sketch. So one thing I wanted to show you was, you see all the lines are showing up as a bluish, a purple or a blue, and that means they are fully constrained. If I took off one of these dimensions, then a line will show up as green, meaning it is not fully constrained and one dimension needed. So that is a fully constrained sketch. And then also, I wanted to look at one of my features here, because typically features do not show the dimensions, but if I right click on that feature and do show dimensions, then I can see the dimensions for that part. So maybe to me it might be easier in a particular situation to change a dimension as it shows in the feature mode, because it does show the part fully extruded and kind of give you a better idea. So let's double click on that dimension. Let's say that I wanted to change that dimension. So if I change it, you notice you don't see a change in the feature. There's a little button up here, looks like it's got a lightning bolt on it, and it's right beside a little house. So if I click on that, then it will modify my feature. So you can see the dimensions in the feature mode, and you can change them in the feature mode. I believe there was one more. No, that was it. And that's it.